Welcome to Myth and Mind. Get comfortable. This is only going to take a few minutes, but it does involve a little bit of self-reflection. What happens when ambition outpaces wisdom? When the fire that lifts us also consumes us? The story of Icarus is one of the oldest cautionary tales in Western myth. A boy, a pair of wings, a dream of freedom, and a fall so iconic it still echoes in psychology, literature, and life itself. But this isn't just about flying too high. This is a story about ego, hubris, and the fear of our own potential. Let's get more into the myth itself. Daedalus, the master inventor of ancient Greece, was imprisoned with his son Icarus on the island of Crete. To escape, he crafted 2 pairs of wings, feathers stitched together with wax. Before takeoff, he warned his son, "Fly too low, and the sea will drag you down. Fly too high, and the sun will melt the wax." But once airborne, Icarus was overtaken by the ecstasy of flight, the thrill of soaring above the world, untouchable, godlike. He flew too high. The sun melted the wax, the feathers unraveled, and Icarus fell into the sea. As we look at the symbolism in this myth, Icarus's wings represent more than invention. They are a symbol of the human imagination, our power to transcend our limitations, and to rise above the mundane, to pursue freedom. The sun, in many myths, stands for divine truth, power, or even the self, the radiant center of the psyche, and getting too close to it can be overwhelming. Daedalus's warning wasn't arbitrary. It was a call to balance between apathy and arrogance, between timidity and pride. But Icarus didn't listen. He wasn't just flying, he was fleeing his limitations. And in doing so, he crossed into dangerous territory and got burned. Now, if we look at it from a psychological perspective, Icarus is a study in ego. He has an inflated ego and forgets his place. He becomes drunk on power and loses connection with reality. This hubris, which is the ancient Greek word for excessive pride that challenges the gods, is not a sin of failure, but of forgetting our limits. In Jungian psychology, we might say that Icarus was consumed by the persona, the mask of ambition, while rejecting the shadow, which is the ground itself. He tried to rise without integration, and what rises without roots must fall. Icarus lives today, not in myth, but in culture, in us, as many of our stories do. One example is the entrepreneur chasing glory at the expense of their health, the artist who burns out in pursuit of perfection, or the influencer who is addicted to upward flight, followers, likes, attention. Even our collective fears of burnout, imposter syndrome, or cancel culture reflect the Icarian dilemma. How high is too high? And what happens when the spotlight becomes the sun? The deeper lesson here that we can pull from the myth of Icarus is not that he failed because he was dreaming. Icarus failed because he lacked the wisdom to balance vision with discipline. It reminds us that the desire to rise is not wrong, but it must be tempered by humility, by self-awareness, by the courage to face the dark waters within before we try to touch the sky. So ask yourself, what is your sun? What are the wings you've built? And how high do you really want to fly? The myth of Icarus is not a warning against ambition, it is a mirror. And in it, we see our own longing, our own fears, and perhaps a way to rise with grace. I would also say that it is a way to explore our own limitations, to learn the hard lessons. Many of us go through this cycle depicted in the myth where we're chasing a goal, we're chasing our sun, and ocean and waters in general are often symbolic of our own emotions and our subconscious. So, the way I like to think of it is that as we're going through this cycle of getting back up, chasing our goals, flying too high, falling deep into the waters, you are really learning more about yourself each time. You're learning more about your own limitations, how to work with them, so that maybe the next time you won't get burned. You'll be able to find that balance and, coast through the air, which is the real freedom. Thank you for watching. If you are enjoying this story, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. If you want to explore more stories like this, check the description for recommended readings on mythology, psychology, and archetypes. It's fascinating stuff. See you next time.